Inside this giant box is a real radio control lawn mower. It's all-wheel drive, battery operated, it's capable of going up steep slopes, and it weighs around 140 pounds. As an RC car enthusiast, I'm really excited to check this out. So coming up in the video, we're gonna get this lawnmower unboxed. I'll show you what it takes to get it together, up and running. And then we're gonna head outside and give my lawn the last mow of the year. I also got their vacuum kit, so we're gonna see how well it bags leaves. I've got everything out of the box, and wow, the Mowrator is impressive. I can't wait to show you guys. But first up, I want to show you that there is a little assembly required. So there's the bag that you're gonna have to install on the back if you choose to use it. There's your tires. Those are gonna have to get screwed onto the wheels. And then that's your battery charger. That's the rear guard. There's the radio system, a couple of bags of screws, and a quick start guide. I think a lot of people are gonna use that. I'm gonna finish up the assembly now so we can see what it looks like. The S1 is all together, and it didn't take too long to finish up the assembly, and while I was getting everything bolted onto this, I really got a good feel for the quality, and this piece of equipment is pretty impressive. Let's start off with the frame, which is a steel tube frame, really nice welds on everything, like these steel side panels. The rear tube goes all the way down to the rear motor. The front, however, has this rocker beam on it, and this is gonna allow it to just basically contour through yards, get through that gnarly stuff that you can't push your normal mower through. And I did notice that rocker is riding on sealed ball bearings. That's really good to see. And then the shroud for the mower deck itself, really thick metal. I mean, listen to that, really solid, unlike the mower that I have, my normal gas mower. It's pretty impressive. And then even the rear chute, you have to attach this shroud that goes on top. That's really simple, just 4 screws. This is spring loaded. But back to the mower deck itself, it's got these swing arms, and you can actually adjust the deck height with this lever right here. You just pull on it, drop the mower deck down. So it's got some adjustability there. If you want to do a low cut, high cut, you have 5 different settings. Now let's get into some of the tech stuff. And this housing right here is your main electronics housing. This panel right here pops up, and this is how you access your battery. I've taken the battery out, it's on charge right now. I'll show you that in a minute. It's got a cooling fan down there. Here is the connector for it. And these red dials right here are actually emergency stop. So if you need to stop this thing, you just push it really quick and it stops it. And then if you need to reset it, that's really easy, just a half turn back, or not even a quarter turn back. I believe there's LED lights behind this panel here that lets you know if the mower is driving safely. If you see these light up red, there may be an obstacle in front of it, because this thing has obstacle avoidance. So yes, if you're standing in front of it, or if there's a tree stump, or maybe a child runs in front of it, this has sensors on it that is gonna stop it and keep it really safe. So there's actually a sensor inside the bumper here. So that's one wave of protection. And then you see it has these 4 sensors here, 2 on the side, 2 in the front. This actually has a lot of functionality through the radio system, which we'll go over. But I was pretty impressed that there's a minimal number of visible wires on this, so nothing to get snagged on. Looks like the connections are even waterproof. The wires for the motor go down inside the tubes and then out to the wheels. and the motors are actually located inside the wheels. That's why these things look so robust. It's a metal housing to them. I don't know the exact type of motor that's inside, but each wheel has its own motor, and they do have a two-wheel drive model of this. So if you just got a flat yard, you probably don't need an all-wheel drive version, and if you do have some gnarly terrain that you need to mow, that's when you go with the four-wheel drive. So this is the battery and charger. I pulled it out to get it on charge while I was assembling the Mowrator, and really simple setup here. This is a heavy-duty looking charger, and this is the 18 amp hour battery. They also have a 12 amp hour battery, which I believe just comes on the two-wheel drive version. Don't quote me on that. You might be able to get the 12 amp hour version for the all-wheel drive, but if you're mowing some really heavy grass, or you might want to go with the bigger battery. But check this out. It's got its own handle. That's because this thing weighs a lot. So we'll bring it over here to the mower. It drops right into place. It pretty much keys into place here. We'll slide that down, put the lock clasp on, and then you can plug it in. When the mower is not in use, you can store the plug over here in this little slot. It's always a good idea to unplug your battery after you use it, and then you drop the lid down. And the lid is sealed as well. It's got a little gasket around it, and that snaps into place. With the S1, you got 3 mowing options. So number 1 is just standard mowing, where it's gonna drop the clippings out of the back or just blow them down out of the back here. Then you could actually mulch with it, and that's what this piece is for. So this slides into the back of the chute. It's got a little handle, so you can actually slide it in there, and that will do mulching. And then this is obviously your bagger here, so if you want to bag up your clippings, just pull the shield up. That slides into place, and it actually has sensors. Got some big heat sinks on the side here. I believe that's for the speed controller inside, because the motor speed is variable. And then down here on the mower deck is the motor itself. It's got a shroud around it, and then it spins the 21-inch blade. And finally, let's talk about the radio system here. So it's a stick style controller, and this thing has a ton of functionality to it. So first up, you got your on and off in the bottom right corner there. A big silver button in the center at the bottom is your emergency stop. And again, it's got 2 emergency stops on the mower itself. And then it's just got so many other goodies that it's gonna take you actually a while to figure this all out. I'm still learning it as I go here. But in the bottom left corner, you have blade speed. It looks like you got 3 different settings there. There is a manual mode and a smart mode. They have different speeds, so you got slow and all the way up to high. Look at the little bunny in the corner over there. There's your stick controllers. It's got a automatic turn, so if you hit these buttons in the top corner here, it's just basically gonna be a 0-point turn for the mower, so you get those nice crisp lines. Up top, this is where you start your blades. You gotta hold both at the same time and then push a start button in the center. Seems like you have to hold those buttons down the whole time, so it's a little bit awkward to get that start button hit. You have all these different settings inside. There's an advanced mode where you could actually go in and deactivate some of the sensors. So I actually already snuck outside just to play with this a little bit, and when I got close to a little rock retaining wall, it kept stopping on me, so I had to go in there and shut it off. And there's actually an update for this. I haven't installed that just yet, but I think that helps clear some of the things up and makes it a lot easier to use as well. So I'm excited to get back outside with this after the little use that I had with it. But first up, I want to show you guys the vacuum kit. So here's the vacuum set, and it's actually pretty simple. It's just 2 steel pieces really, and this is your blade. I guess this is going to create the suction in the lower deck here. So this is going to replace the actual grass cutting blade that's in there. And then it's got this circular plate here. This gets clipped into the bottom, and this is going to help create that suction. Obviously, your leaves are going to come up through the center of it, but it just clips in with these side clips here. We're going to get started by mowing the grass. Let's get this thing fired up. You have to push the 2 buttons on top. Hit start. There we go. This is awesome. Just standing here mowing my lawn. Just figuring things out as I go. So you always have to hold the mower buttons or the blade buttons to mow, which is a little bit of a pain. So there's definitely a learning curve with this. You know, I'm mowing the lawn obviously, but all the little extra features that you could go and use, I think it's gonna take a little time to get these things figured out. Turns fairly tight. I think I have it on level 2 for the mower deck height. So it's missing a few leaves. It's definitely cutting the lawn. I think that bag is filling up. Definitely see some dust coming out of the back of it. But look at that. Right around the pole there. Watch this, we go down the hill. Now I want to see it climb the hill. Maybe even run over that stick over there. Just chopped it right up. Right up the hill. Awesome. That's what I need. That's perfect. Seems to be picking up a decent amount of leaves, chopping them up. Could put in that mulcher too if I wanted. Just kind of free flowing right now. Just getting used to it. That hill is not a problem. I'd probably be tired by now. Got the vacuum attachment installed in it. And you do have to switch over on the radio system here to vacuum mode. I guess there's just a different setting for the motor, but we'll get it fired up just like we normally do. There we go. And it's doing a pretty good job so far. It doesn't pick up everything on the first pass, but it's picking up a lot of leaves, and I don't have to do that. See, it's doing a pretty good job. It's gonna take a few passes. Maybe if I started earlier in the year, or earlier at the end of the season. And actually, I still need to do the mow, so once I do my final mow, it might pick up the rest of these leaves. Now, the only thing I found so far is I think those clamps on the bottom that are hanging down, if you got some roots in your yard, like I've got a root over there, and I noticed it hung up on it before. So that's the only downside with that design is it catches, I think. It's just too jagged of an edge with those clips hanging down. I'm really happy with it though. Like, the bag size probably could be a little bit bigger if you're doing leaves. Maybe if they had a larger leaf bag, that would have been great. And notice the bush over there. It's gonna take a few more trips to dump everything out. All right, guys, we got an off-camber hill here. I'm gonna try to get it on sideways here. This thing is pretty stable. You know, I'm gonna shut the blades off. I wanna see if I could go up the hill. But I know there's some rocks down there. I don't want to wreck my blade. But to show you guys what type of an angle it could go up. You can reset reverse so it goes quick in the advanced mode. But look at this. Look at this angle here. Yeah, I caught one of those rocks. Just got to find the right spot. Look at that angle it's going up. That thing's a monster. Now time to mow the backyard. Oh, doesn't like being next to the house. So you'd have to shut that off. You have to shut off the sensors. So this is what I'm excited about right here. See how these branches are all down? I can't get my regular mower under there. So this is gonna be able to get through that, cut all that grass that I need done. Let's get it fired up. Watch this. Oh, this is gonna be so satisfying. Oh, look at that. Awesome. Right under it. A couple of little beeps from the sensors, not a problem. So happy. This is worth it for me right here. So this is killer right here. I'm on top of the deck, guys, and I could just mow my lawn.
Brake starting. Please ensure safety.
Even though it was the end of the season, I still got some good test time in on the Mowrator, and as a bonus, I was able to use the vacuum kit. I'm gonna tell you more about that in a second, but this is an impressive piece of equipment. It did a really good job on my yard, and there's so much functionality to it. And for some people, that might be a little bit too much. There's a learning curve to it, but I promise you, once you start using the functions, you'll get to know it more and more, and it'll just become second nature. But this thing, out in the yard, I went through the bag on it, went and mowed the front yard. It looked absolutely beautiful. It was the final mow for the year, but it looked awesome. Cleaned up the yard really well. You know, I like it's got the different height settings on it, so I was able to set a little bit higher since it's wintertime. And then when I got around to the challenging parts of the yard, because there are a couple hills that I have to deal with, this thing just muscled right up it. There was no issue with it. Even with these tires on, they have optional tires as well that have a little bit more grip, but these were able to handle the terrain. And that's where I think it's gonna come in really handy for a lot of people. If you have a lot of steep slopes in your yard, stuff that's just really hard to push with a regular mower, this thing is gonna take care of it for you. I think that's the massive benefit of this mower. And I like the other functionality as well. I like that it has the autopilot where it has the cruise control, because, you know, pushing on the throttle does get a little old after a while. So, you know, you just throw the cruise control on, you use your steering. The other thing is as part of the autopilot is there has the 0 turn setup. So you hit the arrow and then you actually have to approve it. That's the only thing that I could maybe think of as a downside, is you have to always hit that approve button for it to get to auto turn. From what I found, at least, maybe there's a shortcut around that. But what I liked about the U-turn was it was able to just swing back around and cut the next path in the yard. So that definitely made things a lot easier. If you're mowing it, you know, just total in manual, you know, depth perception comes into play. So that whole thing of sitting down in a lawn chair and mowing your yard, you might have to stand up. Sometimes I would find myself moving around the yard just to get a better perspective of the mower, get the angles just right. But I was able to mow a good portion just from standing in one spot, actually, and on my deck. That was the best part. I was able to pretty much mow my whole backyard standing on my deck. So I could see that, having a drink on the railing and mowing the yard. It's definitely gonna be fun when spring and summertime rolls around. Like all the safety features on it, it definitely is safe from what I found. You know, walking in front of it, the alarms go off if you need to stop it for whatever reason. Actually, when you let go of the sticks and when you let go of the buttons, it stopped on me. So if for some reason it's still going, you know, it's got all the stop features on it. This thing is so easy to drive. My son was able to do it, and I think he's actually gonna start mowing the lawn now. Pretty psyched about that. But as far as functionality goes, it does a great job. Even when you pull the bag off the back, it shuts everything down because it's got the auto sensors in the back. And you could go and put the bagger on it. They have an actual bagger that empties itself. So there's a lot of options. And speaking of options, I had that vacuum set up on there. So I have not touched my yard. The leaves were pretty much piled up, and it sucked up a lot of leaves. It mulched it and, you know, threw it in the bag. And I found myself emptying the bag a lot. But if you're just, you know, casually cleaning up your yard as the weeks go by, this thing, that vacuum setup, gonna be really powerful, worth it to get. So the only downsides that I could find to this is, you know, it does go 3.5 miles an hour, which is a reasonable speed, but you can push your push mower a little bit faster than that. So speed's an issue for you. That might be a consideration. The other thing is you know, if you are using that 0 turn setup, what I saw was, since my yard is pretty much dead now for the winter season, it was tearing up the grass. And I actually had a new patch of grass where it tore that up when it was doing the turn. However, some spots it didn't do that. So I think if you've got a healthy lawn, not gonna be a problem. It's got the water nozzle on there, so you clean the lower deck when you're going to store it. And you know, just using this thing, if you've got a little bit of technical knowledge, or if you're an RC car guy like me, you're gonna get right into this, no problem. It is a bit on the expensive side, not gonna lie to you about that. And normally it's like $3,500, and they do have different packages. They have a two-wheel drive version, and maybe, you know, if you're worried about this thing ripping up your grass, you go with the two-wheel drive because you don't have the front drive to really tear up on that grass. So they got a lot of different options, a lot of different accessories that could go on it. If you need to go electric with your lawnmower, if you have those steep slopes, this real lawnmower is an awesome piece of equipment for any homeowner. I'll have links for this in the video description below. Hope this video helped you out deciding if this is right for your lawn.